Wednesday show. Hello, everybody. Oh, you know what? Let's edit this this thing right here. Oh, maybe not. I don't want to end the broadcast. Hello, everyone. We're coming to you guys live from my condo. Yay! Today we're going to be talking all about the Mickey Mouse timeline because tomorrow Mickey Mouse turns 93 years old. We're going to give it a few seconds here to let people, or a minute or two here, to let people come on. Hello, hola, hey, howdy, hey. How's everyone doing? You guys doing good out there? Hopefully everyone's doing well. We are we're gonna talk a lot about a lot of different things here. Hey, how you doing, Robert? I'm trying to remember what episode this is. Oh, okay, 6:30. Today we're going to be talking all about Mickey Mouse. Tomorrow is his 90th birthday. Joe's in the chat room. Tomorrow was Joe's birthday too, so everyone make sure you say happy birthday, Joe. Yeah, so Eric, last night when you said that I needed a haircut, I was actually planning on getting a haircut today, so I got a haircut today. Yay! It was funny because I didn't even see that on the live thing last night. All of a sudden I saw it this morning, and I was like, oh, how ironic. I just booked a haircut appointment for today. Hey, howdy, hey. Welcome to the practice round. Finishing bag 5 last. Oh, not bad. Haircut for the cruise. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's get this party started. Unless anyone has anything fun to share. Thank you. Isn't that a great hat? You can't steal it. I know you're watching from right there. That's Lauren's my neighbor. 524. Holy cow, that's a huge Lego set. Okay, so let's get this party started. We're going to start the 639th episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 639th episode of the Wednesday show. Today is November 17th, 2021. I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. In honor of Mickey Mouse, I was going to say Walt Disney's birthday. In honor of Mickey Mouse's birthday being tomorrow, his 93rd birthday, today we're going to be going through a timeline of Mickey Mouse and all of his achievements throughout all the many, many years of the Walt Disney Company. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First bit of news. If you guys have been following along, we are really close to hitting 4,000 hours of watch time over the last 365 days right here on YouTube. My goal is to hit it by midnight tonight. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. If you're not watching on YouTube and you're subscribed to me on YouTube, you can head over there too. Or watch both at the same time. More views. Hey. So after this, if you guys want to, check out another video or 2 or 17 or whatever, make sure you go through and check those videos out as well. We are going to hit that goal tonight. Hopefully, that is my goal at least. I woke up and it was at 61.5 hours away, and people have been killing it online. So thank you everyone out there who's been watching the videos today. I cannot stress how greatly I appreciate it. I would love to hit it on Mickey Mouse's birthday. I think that'd just be the coolest thing in the world. Also, as always, tonight's show is sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel. Make sure you stop by itsallaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely, positively, 100%ly free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. And of course, if you didn't already know, every single Saturday right here on this channel, we do a live broadcast called Saturday in the Park. You never know exactly where we're going to be, but I guarantee you we will be someplace on the Walt Disney World property. So make sure you join us every single Saturday right here on this, on the Facebook page. I'm still trying to figure out how to do the live stream between Facebook and YouTube, but I've been doing it on Facebook for so many years that I want to keep it on Facebook, but eventually we'll be able to get both linked up at the same time as well. Okay, so let's talk about Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse has his birthday tomorrow. It's going to be his 93rd birthday. We're going to kind of go through a little history of Mickey Mouse, but while we go through it, I highly encourage every single one out there, if you guys have any questions about Mickey Mouse while we go through, throw your questions into the comments below, and we will answer any and all questions over the next hour as we go through a little thorough kind of thorough, very brief, hour-long history of Mickey Mouse. So let's get this party started. We've got a lot to talk about, and at the same time, I have notes, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to miss a whole lot. So start throwing questions out there because I guarantee you I'm going to forget some stuff. Also, side note, one thing that I love about the day before Mickey Mouse's birthday and the day of Mickey Mouse, his actual birthday, are Mickey and Minnie married? Oh, that's a good question. We're going to get to that one first. So 18 years ago today, I was at the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, my first college that I went to, and I attended a meeting for the Disney College program to learn a little bit about it and to also sign up for an interview, which would be going on the following day on Mickey Mouse's birthday. During that meeting, we're sitting in this, little auditorium area, and while we were sitting there in that meeting, they were saying, we want people who are passionate about Disney and blah, 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 blah. And they said, for instance, does anyone out there know what tomorrow is? And I was like, oh, everyone knows it's Mickey's birthday. And no one said a word. I was like, I do. And they're like, yeah, what's tomorrow? I was like, it's Mickey Mouse's birthday, 75th birthday, nonetheless. And they kind of freaked out. And the next day in my interview, I brought that up. And then sure enough, it became a huge thing. So that I always credit Mickey Mouse's birthday as the reason why I got into the college program, because I showed right away what a big Disney nerd I was. This is like before Facebook and Instagram and all that other stuff was around. And if you knew a lot about Disney, it was because you read a lot about Disney. You didn't really go on to like these different fan websites that are everywhere to be found today. Okay. So let's get to our questions here. I just every year on his birthday, I always think about that. All right, let's go to our questions here, and then we're going to start going through the history. Are Mickey and Minnie married? There was an interview that Walt Disney did back in the 1960s where an interviewer asked Walt Disney point blank, are Mickey and Minnie married? This exact same question, exact same wording, exact same everything. During that question, Walt Disney gave a very simple answer. Yes, Mickey and Minnie are married. However, they are asked to play different roles because they are two different actors. So Mickey and Minnie are a married acting couple, and sometimes in their acting roles, they don't have to be married, but they have to be dating one another. So depending on what the short cartoon actually needs, that is going to be the role that Mickey and Minnie are going to fill in that specific cartoon. So Mickey and Minnie are married, but they don't always play a married couple, if that makes sense whatsoever. All right, let's go to our next question here. Is he going on a cruise? I'm going on a cruise in 9 days, 8 days, 9 days, 8 days and some hours. Will Mickey Mouse ever have children, or is he too old now? He needs someone to leave his empire to. Mickey Mouse has two nephews. He's got Morty and Ferdy are his two nephews. Minnie has two nieces as well. I always forget their names. They've only appeared in a handful of comics, and that's kind of about all they've really made any appearances in. But yeah, Mickey, I don't think Mickey's ever going to die. That's just my prediction here. Okay, so we'll answer all the cruise questions later on. So keep on throwing cruise questions in if you guys want to as well. And we'll talk about the cruise in a little bit too. But we got to get through the history of Mickey Mouse because some people who are watching this later on might be like, what is this guy talking about? So the story of Mickey Mouse obviously starts with the story of Oswald the Rabbit, which obviously starts with the Alice cartoons, which obviously starts with Laugh-O-Gram Studios, which obviously starts with Walt Disney himself. So let's go through a very, very quick history up until 1928. So in 1923, Walt Disney and his brother Roy Walt Disney started his own company called the Laugh-O-Gram Studio, or 1921. And a few years later, it just completely fell by the wayside. It didn't succeed at all. However, he had a brand new idea called the Alice comedies. When he started doing the Alice comedies became such a huge hit because he took a real-life girl and placed her inside of a cartoon world. When he took this real-life girl and placed her inside of a cartoon world, all of a sudden he had a huge hit on his hands. When that huge hit on his hands came around, he created a brand new studio with his brother Roy, the Disney Brothers Studios. They moved out to Hollywood. When they went out to Hollywood, they started to realize that they could start to push the envelope with different animated short cartoons. So when they started to go through and create more and more characters, they had their first commercial success named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Now, we talked about Oswald the Lucky Rabbit several times throughout the years. Several times. I love Oswald. Side note, I really do love Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. However, if it wasn't for Oswald's failure, we never would have had Mickey Mouse. And if we didn't have Mickey Mouse, I don't think we would have what we have today in the world of Disney. I don't think we'd have a Walt Disney World the way that we have Walt Disney World, etc., etc., etc. We'll kind of get into that as we go through here as well. So in 1928, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit failed miserably. Not failed miserably, but he was stolen from Walt Disney. As the famous story goes, Walt Disney was on a train ride from New York City back to LA, and he was completely distraught because finally his dream was not lived out, or he lived out his dream, but now the whole dream was taken away from him. A lot of the different people who worked on the Oswald cartoons were also taken, and they all went to that terrible, terrible place, which is right down the road here, called Universal. Boo. So when Universal took Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Walt Disney didn't really know what to do, and he came up with the idea of a brand new cartoon character named Mickey Mouse. Now, it's really funny because a lot of people are always talking about how Mickey Mouse looks a lot like Oswald. I can see the similarities. I don't think it's that huge of a similarity compared to what most people say. However, every single time I go into Disney California Adventure, which is over in California, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is usually right there at the entrance doing meet and greets. Every single time someone's like, oh, look, it's baby Mickey. And then every single time I do the Walt Disney World Marathon, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit is always one of the meet and greet characters on the course. And every single time someone in line's like, oh, yeah, it's like Mickey as a kid. What? He's got long rabbit ears. But technically he was an older version of Mickey, but Mickey Mouse was born out of him. Now, when Walt got back to the studio, there was only one other animator that was working with him, his old buddy, Ub Iwerks. Ub Iwerks and him had worked together at the Laugh-O-Gram Studios. They failed together there. And then they started to go through the Alice comedies and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And Ub Iwerks is the person who most animators will tell you was the only person who's ever been able to draw a perfect circle constantly throughout the years. Ub Iwerks ended up animating the entire first 3 Mickey Mouse cartoons by himself. So a lot of people think that it's Walt Disney who did all the animation. In reality, Walt Disney was a creative guy. He came up with the concept of Mickey, but it was Ub Iwerks who perfected the look of Mickey Mouse. Those first 3 cartoons were Plain Crazy, Galloping Gaucho, and Steamboat Willie. Now, tomorrow, like we've been saying several times already, is Mickey Mouse's 93rd birthday. To celebrate the 93rd birthday, what we're celebrating is the release of Steamboat Willie. However, Steamboat Willie was not the very first Mickey Mouse cartoon created. The very first one that was actually created was Plain Crazy. Now, here's the story about Plain Crazy and Galloping Gaucho, because both of those were created before Steamboat Willie. Now, Plain Crazy and Galloping Gaucho were created, and Plain Crazy also has Minnie Mouse. So technically, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse have been together since the very beginning. Tomorrow is Minnie Mouse's birthday as well. I feel like Minnie never gets any love. So everyone, at the count of 3, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, Minnie, happy birthday to you. So Minnie Mouse, happy birthday as well. We all love you. I love you. I don't understand why you don't get as much love on your birthday, but we all see and appreciate you as well. Anyways, so this is going to be one of those episodes where I just talk constantly for the next hour, and then at the end, I'm like, oh man, I'm really thirsty. Like I should have, just rambled constantly for the last. Anyways, so Plain Crazy was inspired by Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh being a famous pilot who sailed across the Atlantic on the Spirit of St. Louis. Walt decided to have it so he was inspired by that story to create a story about Mickey Mouse, who was also going to fly across the Atlantic. And there he also had his girlfriend, Minnie Mouse, alongside of him. Now, when they created this thing, it was going to be a huge success, but there was one thing that had never happened at that point. So let's go to a completely different studio. Right around the same time, there was a film that came out called The Jazz Singer, and he actually talks and sings. Boy, I got to see that. Carousel Progress. So in The Jazz Singer, it was the very first time ever in a full-length feature film where a character or an actual person, an actor, could be heard and you could actually see them up on screen speaking and have their dialogue actually match with the thing. Before this, there would always be an organ inside of the movie house, and they would play the music along, and then the words would pop up saying, and be like, "Oh, geez," and their mouths always like moved like a whole lot more than it was necessary. They'd be like tacos. Um, so, uh, so that's a complete side note. So when the Jazz Singer first came out, Walt Disney saw the idea that he needed to have Mickey Mouse became a huge commercial success. So Plain Crazy and Galloping Gaucho, which were in a few select theaters as a test run to see if Mickey would work, were completely pulled outside. And they said, okay, what we're going to do is this third cartoon that they were already working on, Steamboat Willie, we're going to turn it into a brand new talkie picture. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. Everyone's going to absolutely love it. So they created Steamboat Willie with synchronized sound. They had things like Turkey in the Straw there, and Mickey, of course, making different noises along with Pete growling at him. It's pretty much the basic plotline of the entire film. So when they first had this play, it became a huge, huge success. Now, there were two different things that are credited for Mickey Mouse being a huge success at that time. One of them was the fact that, yes, you had synchronized sound with a cartoon, which had never been done before. And two, Mickey Mouse was the first cartoon that really, truly showed a personality. Before this, cartoon characters were just kind of throwaway characters. You would have them on the screen, and they would be just kind of throwaway characters. You couldn't really go through and explore more and more storylines with them unless it was the same type of storyline over and over and over again. Now, with Mickey Mouse, you could do a brand new experience because Mickey Mouse was a mouse, so you could really put him into any type of situation, and he would succeed in some way, shape, or form. So Steamboat Willie came out, and then a few months later, Galloping Gaucho became one of the second films, and then the third film would be Plain Crazy. Shortly after that, we get into the next year of 1929. All of that was for 1928, the first 17 minutes of the show. Thank you very much. Before we get into 1939, let's go through and see if we have any questions here. There in the Mickey Mouse cartoon on Disney Junior. I'm not sure what that's in. Okay, yeah. In your opinion, who is Mickey's closest friend aside Minnie? Of course, I always felt it was Donald, as Pluto is more of a pet. Thoughts? Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, let's skip ahead a few years. We're going to talk. Okay, so some of the other things that we're going to talk about is the Carnival Kid came out in 1929. In the Carnival Kid, Mickey Mouse is his first words: "Hot dog, hot dog," and that's why when you hear "It's a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Come inside, there's fun inside. It's a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Hot dog, hot diggity dog." A lot of times you'll hear Mickey say hot dog. He'll say it in the parades. He says it in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme song. The reason that they have the hot dog in there is due to the fact that that was actually a nod to his first name ever. Robert, I'm going to hide your thing just for a second while we're going to catch up here. A few months later on, after the Carnival Kid, we had Mickey's Follies. That is when the very first association with the Mickey Mouse song came around, which was actually Minnie's Yoo-Hoo. There's the guy they call Little Mickey Mouse, not a sweetie pie, little in a chicken house. And then it's Minnie's Yoo-Hoo. Fun fact, you can still hear that song today in front of the Magic Kingdom. It's one of the songs that plays overhead, except for it's just the instrumental version. In 1930, we saw the inclusion of Pluto, which now we're getting kind of a little bit here to Robert's thing. We saw the inclusion of Pluto, and then in 1932, we saw Goofy come out, May 25th, 1932. And then in June of 1934, we saw Donald Duck. So let's go to Robert's question here. In your opinion, who was Mickey's closest friend aside Minnie? Of course, I always felt it was Donald, as Pluto is more of a pet. Thoughts? Personally, for me, I've always thought it was more of Goofy. Now, is there a right answer? No. Is there a wrong answer? No. Now, the reason that I've always said Goofy and not instead of Donald, I think Donald and Mickey are great friends, but let's do we got Mickey here. Celebration Mickey. Where's Donald fell, I think. Yeah, he's over there. Oh, wait. I'm just showing off my toys. Yeah. I actually brought a lot of the Mickey toys to the front here today. Look at it. What a great toy, first off. Mickey and Minnie and the People Mover together. What? Greatest toy ever. Anyways, so my theory has always been that Mickey is closer to Goofy, and the reason that I feel like Mickey is closer to Goofy is because Donald always kind of resents Mickey, because everyone says that Mickey's number one, and I feel like Donald's always said that he was number one instead. But he literally says he's number one. There's even the song, "Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? MICKEYMOUSE, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse." And so Donald, I think, does not look at Mickey as his best friend. I feel like he thinks they are friends, but I don't think it is the same level of friendship as it is for Goofy. I feel like he's always there with Goofy, if that makes sense. I feel like Goofy probably would, is going to kill him sometimes, but I feel like Donald would physically kill him. So, yeah, I don't know. Plus, Donald or Pluto was actually originally Minnie's pet, and his name was Rover, and then eventually he became Mickey's pet and switched the name to Pluto. And I feel like Minnie probably resented him for that too. So Mickey probably doesn't have a best friend, because Goofy's got Max, and he's got Clarabelle, and he's got Horace Collar, and even in a Goofy movie, Goofy says, "I'm going to go on a trip with my very best friend, or my very best bud in the entire world." And Max's response was, "Who, Donald Duck?" So I don't know. Does Mickey have a best friend? I feel like I'm Mickey's best friend. I saw Mickey today. I went to visit him. I don't know. I really don't know. I always wonder why Pluto can't talk like everyone else. It's because he's a pet. There are mice inside of the Disney universe that are not Mickey and Minnie, that they are actual like little mice that run around on screen, and they don't talk either. So there's like different levels of the animal kingdom when it comes to the Disney world, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's continue on our journey of the Mickey Mouse cartoons, getting into the 1930s. Now, in 1934, like I said, Donald Duck made his debut in The Wise Little Hen. When Donald Duck made his debut, it was part of the Silly Symphonies, and part of that Silly Symphony was actually in color. And so Donald Duck actually debuted in color before Mickey Mouse would debut in color later on. And Mickey's debut was in, what's it called? The band concert. So I was thinking tornado. There's a tornado in it. But inside the band concert, Mickey would make his first debut. Now, when Donald Duck first made his debut, Donald Duck kind of took the world by storm. He was soon put into the role of being Mickey's friend, along with Goofy's friend. The three of them, in my opinion, have some of the best cartoons that are ever created of all time. If you have never gone to see Lonesome Ghost, check out Lonesome Ghost. If you've never seen Mickey's Fire Brigade, check out Mickey's Fire Brigade. If you've never seen How to Build a Boat, check that out. Clock Cleaners. There are so many classic Mickey Mouse cartoons, and the best ones, in my opinion, are the ones where you have Mickey, Donald, and Goofy together creating chaos. It's so much fun to watch. So when the three of them started to go through and be in more and more of these cartoons, Donald Duck started to take on a starring role. And when he started to take on a starring role, more and more people started to fall in love with Donald Duck, and more studios started to demand Donald Duck cartoons in front of their films instead of Mickey Mouse cartoons, which is going to take us to our first downfall of Mickey Mouse. So that takes us to 1937. In 1937, something happened that would change the world forever, and that was called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. When Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs first hit theaters, the thing that Walt wanted to figure out from there was what to do with feature films in the future. His first idea, of course, was Fantasia. Now, Fantasia would open up in 1940, and when it came out in 1940, it was going to be a rolling concert. And when I say a rolling concert, what I mean is you have things like The Rite of Spring, the Ave Maria section, and then the Sorcerer's Apprentice, etc., etc., etc. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to have it so the Sorcerer's Apprentice would always be there, but all the other short cartoons would kind of fall by the wayside and be replaced by different cartoons. We've talked a lot about package films throughout the years, things like The Three Caballeros, Saludos Amigos, Make My Music, Melody Time, etc., etc., etc. Those are all package films that are comprised of several different small segments that are all brought together with one giant storyline that fills in all the gaps. Fantasia was going to be the same way, where the entire thing was going to be you are going to a concert, the concert is going to play these different music, and every time you would go see this film, there was going to be different animated sequences that would disappear and other ones that would come in. And the idea was to have the Sorcerer's Apprentice be the main one. And the reason they wanted to do that was because it was going to have the ultimate star power there, Donald Duck. What? Donald Duck? That's right. So Donald Duck had gained so much fame by this point that they decided that the most likely person to put into the role of the Sorcerer's Apprentice would be Donald Duck. It just made sense. He was a rising star. Everyone loved Donald Duck. We might as well just make him the star of our second animated film. And that was what was decided upon. Now, while this decision was being made, a few other things started to kind of fall into place. One of them was they said, well, maybe we should just have Dopey in there, because Dopey was, one, extremely popular from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and two, we already had a lot of different animation of Dopey in these different things. So we can use the animation we've used of him in his robes and switch it over to a brand new film. When they were coming up with this concept, they decided to use his robes once again on Donald Duck in The Sorcerer's Apprentice. And then Walt Disney stepped in and said, you know what? No. We love Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is falling by the wayside, but Mickey Mouse is kind of the reason that this whole company exists and has gotten to this point today. We need to give Mickey Mouse a relifting, juvenating something or another. We need to have it so Mickey Mouse can get brand new life in the film industry. So let's make him the star of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So Mickey won the role. He beat out Donald Duck. He beat out Dopey. Suckers. And Mickey Mouse became the star of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Now, when The Sorcerer's Apprentice hit, Mickey Mouse's popularity started to go back up on the rise, and he started to take out Donald Duck once again as the most popular character in the Disney universe. Complete side note, it still baffles me to this day that, one, Donald Duck has been in more cartoons than Mickey Mouse, and two, Donald Duck has been in more feature films than Mickey Mouse. It kind of breaks my heart. But that's besides the point. So that brings us back to 1940. Now, in the 1940s, Mickey Mouse started to kind of have a little bit of a roller coaster of emotions as he was going through these different cartoons. Now, the biggest problem that they had in the 1940s was World War II was in full force. And when World War II was in full force, they started to kind of put these different projects on the back burner. And one of the things that kind of fell by the wayside were cartoons starring characters like Mickey Mouse, because, again, Donald Duck was so much more popular going into the 1940s that it just made sense. If you want to raise the spirits of the American public, you got to show them Donald Duck, because Donald Duck is going to be this American, much like everyone else, who is going through all these difficult times, and it's just entertaining watching Donald Duck go through difficult situations and watch him kind of come out on the other hand as a very angry person. So Donald Duck started to have another rise in fame in the 1940s, and Mickey Mouse just kind of sat there and would star in a cartoon from time to time, but overall, nothing too exciting would happen for Mickey Mouse, which brings us into the 1950s. Now, in the 1950s, Mickey Mouse's short cartoon popularity fell by the wayside in 1953. In 1953, it was his last short cartoon for a long time. It was called The Simple Things. Now, when this happened, Walt was very aware that, one, short cartoons were not going to be a thing anymore. I mean, they're going to be a thing, but they weren't going to be as big of a thing as they were in the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s. So let's just kind of have it so Mickey Mouse is no longer in these big cartoons. Two, if we're going to have cartoon characters, we might as well use Goofy and Donald Duck, because, again, those ones brought in crowds and people loved Donald Duck and they loved Goofy. So Mickey Mouse was kind of starting to get forgotten until 1953, when something amazing happened. In 1953, plans of Disneyland started to surface up, and when plans of Disneyland started to surface up, in 1954, Walt launched his brand new television series, Disneyland. That was the name of the television series, just like the park, Disneyland. So when they decided to launch the Disneyland television series, it just made sense that you had to have a former Disney star be the symbol of the entire show. So naturally, Mickey Mouse was what not? He was not decided? No, not Mickey Mouse. Why not Mickey Mouse? Oh, that's right. Okay. So I'm not reading off anything. I'm just trying to be overly dramatic, and I'm failing miserably at it. So the reason that they chose not to have Mickey Mouse was for one simple reason, and it wasn't because Mickey Mouse was fading in popularity. It was because in Walt Disney's eyes, Mickey Mouse was the symbol of the entire Walt Disney Company. And because he was the symbol of the entire Disney Company, the last thing he wanted to do was have it so if Disneyland failed, people looked at Mickey Mouse as a failure as well. So he decided to have it so it would be Tinkerbell instead. So Tinkerbell became the brand new face of the Disneyland series. So in case Disneyland failed, Tinkerbell would kind of be associated with that failure instead of Mickey Mouse, which is actually kind of genius. But that's why also Tinkerbell is now a huge hit, is because of the Disneyland series, because they decided to kind of, throw her under the bus just in case. And luckily for all of us, Tinkerbell and Disneyland became massive successes. So that brings us, after the Disneyland television series, they decided to have it so that one of the first attractions that would open up with the park in 1955 would be where Pinocchio's Daring Journey currently sits. It would be called the Mickey Mouse Club Theater. And I know what you're thinking, we haven't talked about the Mickey Mouse Club. We have not talked about the Mickey Mouse Club. We sang the song earlier, but we've not talked about the Mickey Mouse Club. So when they opened up Disneyland, they decided to use it as a way to promote different things coming out for the Disney company, in addition to being a place where families could go have fun together. Good job, Walt. So one of the ideas that they had was having a brand new television series, which would come out shortly after Disneyland opened, called the Mickey Mouse Club. So the Mickey Mouse Club Theater featured the kids who were going to appear in the Mickey Mouse Club, and those kids would be there and they would put on a show for families that were visiting Disneyland. I've seen footage of some of this. I can't imagine not knowing what the Mickey Mouse Club is and then going to watch like a bunch of 10 to 15-year-olds be like, okay, we're going to sing you a song now. Like, could you imagine going to that show and being like, what on earth is going on here? But that was the idea of the Mickey Mouse Club theater show. And people actually found it pretty entertaining. So the following year, when the Mickey Mouse Club opened up, or when it debuted on theaters or on TV, Mickey Mouse became once again an international superstar. So for the next 30 years, Mickey Mouse was mainly associated with Disneyland, and then every now and then he would pop up in different things. But the Mickey Mouse Club was going strong for a while, and then Disneyland obviously went strong it's still going strong to this day. But Mickey Mouse's popularity was just kind of associated with Disneyland for the longest time. Until 1983, I'm drawing a blank. I want to make sure it's 1983. Yeah, 1983, Mickey Mouse appeared in a brand new short cartoon called Mickey's Christmas Carol. Joy to the children. Da, da, da. They decided to have it so they would bring in a brand new short cartoon. And in the 1980s, the animation department was kind of falling by the wayside. The animators really weren't succeeding at anything that they did, but they wanted to do a Christmas special. Now, when they decided to do a Christmas special, they decided to, of course, focus on A Christmas Carol, because Uncle Scrooge was clearly the most obvious choice for Ebenezer Scrooge. However, we weren't really sure if Mickey Mouse would be the star of Bob Cratchit. And after some debate, they decided, you know what, Mickey's been out in retirement pretty much for 30 years now. Let's bring him out of retirement for the short cartoons and put him back into the driver's seat. So Mickey Mouse starred in Mickey's Christmas Carol. It became a big enough success that about 7 years later, he appeared in another short cartoon called The Prince and the Pauper. That short cartoon, which was actually, is that based off of, I'm drawing a blank right now. Mickey's Christmas Carol is based off of Charles Dickens. Is The Prince and the Pauper, is that Charles Dickens as well? I'm looking it up now because now I think so. Maybe. No, Mark Twain. I'm sorry. It's based off of Mark Twain. So The Prince and the Pauper came out in 1990, and 1990, and it was linked up with The Rescuers Down Under. And again, it was a success, but it wasn't a massive success that they were hoping that it would be. So Mickey Mouse kind of started to waver a little bit again, but again, we saw him at the parks. People still knew the Mickey Mouse Club. He was still in a icon around the parks, but we needed something bigger to come out of Mickey Mouse. And the thing that came out next was in 1995. Now, there's a film that came out in 1995 called A Kid in King Arthur's Court. Have you ever seen it? Maybe not. Maybe not. I vividly remember seeing this in theaters. It was associated with, yet again, another Mickey Mouse short cartoon. Before the cartoon, or before the film, was a short cartoon called Runaway Brain. Runaway Brain has become one of the most famous and also one of the most hidden Disney animated films of all time. There's only one time, and one time only, this short cartoon has been released on DVD. Luckily, I do have that DVD. It was one of those. Do I have one near me? No, it's over on the other side of it. There was a Walt Disney Treasures boxes. They were like these silver tins. Inside of it were special things about Disney. There was like a Disneyland episode. There was a Mickey Mouse Club one. There was one that was Mickey Mouse in black and white, and it was all the Mickey Mouse black and white cartoons. And there was Mickey Mouse Black and White Part 2 that had all the other ones. And then there was Mickey Mouse in Color, and then Mickey Mouse in Color Part 2. And Mickey Mouse in Color Part 2 has every single Mickey Mouse cartoon that you can imagine, going from the 1940s up until Runaway Brain. Now, Runaway Brain features Mickey Mouse trading places with a monster, and then when the monster is in Mickey's brain, Mickey does some questionable things, and the corporate did not really like that at all. They said, this is kind of a little too edgy for Mickey Mouse, even though it's not Mickey Mouse, but we're afraid that people are going to associate it with Mickey Mouse because he's inside of Mickey Mouse's body. So let's just scrap this entire film forever and ever and ever. And it really has not been shown anywhere. I've been wanting to go on Disney Plus for ages. It is such a good cartoon. I absolutely love it. It's always been one of my favorites. But unfortunately, it fell by the wayside. And then as time has gone by, Mickey Mouse started to appear in more and more cartoons. Again, the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Come inside. There's fun inside. Actually, the kids who are growing up today probably have more Mickey Mouse cartoons coming out on a weekly basis than kids from the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s all had combined, which is kind of crazy. But literally every single week, kids today can see a brand new Mickey Mouse cartoon or a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episode or whatnot. There's so many Mickey Mouse's Roadsters and The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse. There's so many different great cartoons that are coming out with Mickey Mouse every single day. But unfortunately, we didn't really get that. I didn't get that growing up. I wish I got more Mickey Mouse cartoons growing up because I love Mickey Mouse. I think Mickey Mouse is one of the best characters on Earth. But that is like our timeline, our brief timeline here of Mickey Mouse. Let's go to your questions because I've seen a lot of questions kind of popping up here. Or maybe not a lot of questions. Oh, yeah, there's a lot. All right, let's start with this one. What's your favorite Mickey Mouse cartoon? It's probably Lonesome Ghost or Clock Cleaners. So I brought up both those earlier. Lonesome Ghost takes place with the Ajax Ghost Society, and it's Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. They're running a ghost hunting society, and some ghosts see an ad in the paper about them trying to be these ghost hunters, and they decide they're going to have some fun. They call them up and they say, "We've got ghosts at our house," and the three of them go off and they try to catch the ghosts, and the ghosts are just like trying to mess with them the whole time. And at the end, there's the great twist ending. I'm not going to say what it is because I want you guys to go check it out. Because there's no spoiler alerts for something that's been around for almost 90 years. But Lonesome Ghost and then the Clock Cleaners, I've always loved Clock Cleaners. There's just something about that. I've always Someone just told me about the fact that there were... Okay, I apologize. Thank you, Eric, for sending me the thing. I don't know how to... Apparently, we had some spam on the website there. I don't want you guys seeing that spam. And then clock cleaners. There's that one sequence at the end where all three of them are kind of going off and doing their different things, and then all of a sudden they all kind of come together and have the. And I just think it's a great cartoon. Where are you pulling these dates from? Do you have them all memorized? I have a lot of the dates memorized, but I had to write down a few before the show because I just wanted to make sure that I didn't forget some dates. But I do. One of my friends, whenever he's in town and we're at the park, he'll be like, "When did this ride open up?" I'm like, "Come on, 1975." He's like, "What date?" And I usually know fairly close to the date. I can usually get the month. Sometimes I don't know the exact date. But yeah. Okay. Mickey's Trailer is great. Also, Mickey's Trailer is a great cartoon. If you guys never, if nothing else tonight, what I want you guys to do after you go watch all my YouTube videos, is as soon as it hits midnight, I want you to go through and go to Disney Plus and just watch one Mickey Mouse cartoon. Just go find one old Mickey Mouse cartoon. Clock Cleaners is on there. Lonesome Ghost is on there. There's a lot of different things that are on there. I love Mickey's Trailer. It's such a great one. He really knows these dates. What's your favorite hit Mickey? Mine is the Steamboat Willie outside of the under the sea. Oh, you're going to be very happy then about tomorrow's YouTube video because that makes an appearance in it. My favorite hidden Mickey is found over at Wilderness Lodge at the DVC spot. In the DVC lobby, there is the fireplace. There's like the lobby with the birdcage in the middle or the Christmas tree, depending on what time of year you go there. And there's these different like wooden beams that kind of stick out around the room. And on the wooden beams, there's different wood carvings of different things. Like there's a snake, there's a rat, there's a hawk, there's all these different things. And on one of the beams, if this is the fireplace right here, if you look to the right of the fireplace, there's some couches there. If you go to those couches and you look up at the one beam that's kind of coming over the entrance of the whole area, there is a hidden Mickey. It's a three-dimensional hidden Mickey. He's looking out at you. It's my favorite hidden Mickey. I've always loved it. I found it probably like 8 years ago, and literally every time I'm at Wilderness Lodge, I have to make the hike down there to go check it out. Wait, who loved Mickey Mouse? Who knew? Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? MICKEYMOUSE. I also realized I brought this one over. I had this one over there. I also realized before the show, I was like, oh, I'll bring over like a bunch of my Mickey Mouse stuff. And I was like, holy cow, I've got a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff. That's not possible. I can't bring all the stuff over. But even just on here, let's move the comment here so we can do the point game. This is a Mickey Mouse here. These are Vinylmations which are Mickey shaped. Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse is here. Any other Mickey Mouses in the area? Well, not up there, but then we got things like Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. I mean, I love Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. It's I don't know how people couldn't love Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is just like the like epitome of being good. Like I just love Mickey Mouse. If people can strive to be like more like Mickey Mouse, I think the world would be a better place. Like if that's who they strive to be more like, I have voted for Mickey Mouse in elections because I think that he would be a great leader. Just my opinion, but I think he would be a great leader. He is a great leader. Your thoughts on the alternative drawing style of Mickey and the Gang? Let's talk about that. That's a great question. I was going to talk about this, and I completely forgot to talk about this. There are so many different things that I was... So keep on asking questions. We got about 15 minutes left before we're going to wrap it up here. But keep on asking questions because I love going through these questions with you guys. And I know we could talk about Mickey Mouse for days and not run out of things to talk about. So when I first saw the drawing style, which came out in 2013, I believe, don't quote me on that one. Let me look at my list that I printed out earlier. 2013. 2013. In 2013, they came out, and the very first one was what's it called? The croissant de triomphe, where Mickey Mouse is on the scooter. He's trying to get the croissants for Minnie, and then he goes through the tower, and inside of the tower is Cinderella, and she drops the slipper again, and she's like, "Hey." I remember when I first watched that cartoon. I vividly remember watching that first cartoon right here in this chair, and I remember watching it, and I remember thinking, I don't like the animation, but I like the storyline. And it took me about a year to get familiar or get comfortable, or I don't know. It took me about a year before I started to really accept the animation style. I still don't think it's as good of an animation style as it used to be. However, I think the Mickey Mouse cartoons from 2013 to now are some of the best cartoons they've ever done. They are absolutely hilarious. One of the things I do, so when I get ready to go out anywhere, whether it's going to work or going to the park or whatnot, when I'm like brushing my teeth and stuff, I put on either one, a Mickey Mouse cartoon, and it's always the new Mickey Mouse cartoons because I find them hilarious, or two, I go through and I put on an episode of Bluey, because Bluey is a great show. If you've never watched it, it's hilarious. So I've gotten used to the style, but I also, when I started to watch the style, I also started to think, like, what do you think people in the 1940s and 1950s started to think about Mickey too? Because one, when Mickey first came out in 1928, his look and style is completely different than what it was in 1940. Things like, or even like 1983, when Mickey's Christmas Carol came out, he lost his eyebrows. Before that, he always had like eyebrows for expression, and they decided to get rid of that, thinking, okay, maybe this will work better, and it did work better. Every time that they've done it, it's been something to kind of to just kind of play with and figure out if it works. And I don't think the animation style right now is as good as the animation style from the past, but I think the storylines, some of the storylines I feel like need that animation style. They need that kind of crude animation style to really be able to pull it off. I have talked to a few people who've talked to me about the animation style throughout the years, and they've said, I can't even watch it. It's not good. It's just not good. I'm like, okay, whoa. Is the animation not good, or are the storylines not good? Because that's two completely different things. And they go, I can't even get over those drawings. But I always say, just try to watch like 2 or 3. Because if you watch 2 or 3 and you start to see these storylines, the storylines are so well thought out. They are so clever. They are some of the best animations or some of the best cartoon storylines that I think you'll ever see. Things like the three-legged race, I think is just hilarious. It's one of the greatest cartoons ever, but it's one of those cartoons that it needs that animation style to pull off some of the jokes and the little physical gags that they do. You need those things inside of those stories, because if it wasn't for that animation style, you just wouldn't have that. So I personally don't think the animation style is as good, but I think the storylines are great, if not even better than what they used to have. That was a long answer. Good question, Robert. How did Mickey Mouse get his name? So Mickey Mouse's name originally was going to be Mortimer. That part of the story is true. Walt said, "Oh, this is my new mouse. His name is Mortimer Mouse." And Lily and his wife said, "Mortimer is a terrible name. It's not a lovely name. It's not a comforting name. Mortimer is kind of a name." So I think those were her exact words. And so when she said that, she said, "Why don't you do something that's more friendly, more welcoming, like Mickey?" And Mickey Mouse was born. So Mortimer Mouse has appeared in a few cartoons as Mickey's rival, the first one being Mickey's rival. So Mortimer has made a few appearances throughout the years, but yeah, Mickey's rival was the first one. And every time he comes in and he's trying to woo over Minnie Mouse, and every time you think like, oh, Minnie's going to go for him. No, don't do it, Minnie. And then you realize it's not going to happen. What do you think you would be doing in life if Disney was a thing? Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show about Universal Studios. No. No. Oh, my gosh. No, that's not even funny. I got to wash my mouth after this. If if Disney wasn't a thing, I don't know what I would be doing. I'd probably be teaching. I don't know. I remember when I first started doing this, people said, "Well, you're not going to be teaching anymore." I said, "Well, but I feel like I'm teaching people about Disney every week, which I love." Okay, let's go to the next one. I love the old Mickey Mouse Club. I do too. Okay, besides Annette, because I feel like Annette is everyone's favorite. Who is your favorite person from the Mickey Mouse Club, the original? Or you can do the new ones too. You can say Justin Timberlake or Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera or Ryan Gosling or any of those. It's kind of crazy how many of those people became. I think Moochie's great. Moochie's a great one. I love Roy too, like the big Roy, the not Roy the brother, but Roy the adult. I think he's a great guy. And Cubby's great. I love Mickey Mouse Club. It's amazing to think how huge of an influence Mickey Mouse had on pop culture. Oh, that's something we didn't talk about. So Mickey Mouse, if it was not for Mickey Mouse, I honestly don't think we would have Disney parks. The idea of Mickey Mouse or of Disneyland coming around was because Walt wanted to do a theme park called Mickey Mouse Park, where people could come in and they could explore some of their favorite Mickey Mouse cartoons. And that was kind of how it started. So I don't know if we would have a Disneyland. I really don't know if we'd have a Disneyland, if we'd have a Walt Disney World or travel destinations dealing with Disney. We would probably still have cartoons. They'd feature like Oswald. But Mickey Mouse became such a huge, huge, huge inspiration. Fun fact, in 1928 was the very first time that a Mickey Mouse Club was born. It wasn't born from the Walt Disney Company. It was born from some people who just were going to the movies and they loved Mickey Mouse so much that they decided to make a Mickey Mouse Club and invite different people to go watch the Mickey Mouse Club and just talk about how much they loved Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse had so much popularity that no other character up to that point had ever had. And I think if Mickey Mouse never came around, I think if we still had Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, I think the Disney company would probably still be popular because Walt would have things like, I think he would still go forward with things like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and things like that. But I feel like Oswald just wasn't the same type of character that Mickey was. And I think it's because of the character Mickey was that inspired everything else. Walt always said, I hope we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse. I truly feel like Walt knew that too. Like if it wasn't for this character, if it wasn't for that specific character, we would have nothing. And I truly feel like if it was not for Mickey Mouse, I think if it was any other character, if it was Donald Duck in there, I don't think we'd have a Disneyland. I don't think we'd have a Disney World. We'd have, I think the company would go in a different direction than the company or than what they went off in. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. There's no way to know. Maybe that's going to be part of the multiverse with Spider-Man. I have no idea. But who knows? Who knows? I hate the new alternative drawings. I like Brandon Sim. It does, but I love the storylines. The storylines are so great. Potato Land. Do yourself a favor. Go watch the episode of Potato Land because Potato Land is one of the best Mickey Mouse cartoons that they've ever done. I think it's hilarious. Yeah, and I think like every Mickey Mouse style, I think it's going to be a style for 15, 20 years, and then it's going to transform into something else as well. So I don't think it's going to. What is Goofy? Goofy is half man, half dog. What's your name? Barf. What are you? Oh, Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. Goofy is he is a dog. Pluto's a dog too. But like I said earlier, there are different mice that are in the Mickey Mouse universe that are actual mice. And then actually one of my favorite jokes of all time in a Mickey Mouse cartoon is at one point Mickey gets scared of a mouse in a Mickey Mouse cartoon back in like the 1920s. And I always find it hilarious. I can't think of which cartoon it is, but every single time I've watched that cartoon, it cracks me up because he's like, oh my gosh, a mouse. And I was like, you are a mouse. So I've always Goofy's like the same thing. He's a Goofy with human characteristics, like Mickey is a mouse with human characteristics, and Pluto is a dog with dog characteristics, just like those other mice are mice with mice characteristics. So Goofy is a dog. Do you have any fun facts about Donald Duck? We could go on and on about Donald Duck too. What kind of questions do you guys want to have about Donald Duck? Even though it's not Donald Duck's birthday yesterday or tomorrow. What was? Now I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find the thing. Eric, you nailed that statement. Countless book I've read about some Disney reference and plot around it. I'm not sure what that's in response to. Oh, about that. Okay. Haha. Yeah, we could go on and on about Donald Duck too. Donald Duck first debuted in The Wise Little Hen. He was only supposed to appear in one cartoon only. However, he became so popular that eventually Donald Duck became the icon that he is today. Like we talked about earlier, he was originally going to be the Sorcerer's Apprentice. He has appeared in more full-length feature films than Mickey Mouse has. Donald has appeared in Saludos Amigos, The Three Caballeros, Fun and Fancy Free. He appears in Fantasia 2000. In addition to that, they're also in some non-full-length feature films, things like The Three Musketeers. Did you guys ever see that? Came out in 2004. It was a DVD. It was... it's all to classical music, where it's all for one and one for all and all for one, all for one and one for all and all for all and all for one. All for one. I think it's great. Let's see here. He is not a cow. Someone started that rumor about 2 years ago. I know exactly who started that rumor. I don't talk about the website at all. But yeah, he is not a cow. He is a dog. Walt Disney personally himself had said he was a dog. He is a dog. Spaceballs. Isn't Goofy's girlfriend Clarabelle? So let's talk a little bit about the history of Goofy, Clarabelle, and Horace Horsecollar. So Goofy at one point was he was pitted to be the love interest of Clarabelle Cow, and so was Horace Horsecollar. So Horace Horsecollar and Clarabelle Cow came out in 1929 and were pretty much just as popular, or not just as popular, but they were pretty much equally as popular as what Donald Duck and Goofy would become. They were the first side characters for Mickey and Minnie, and they were kind of paired up as like being this couple, Horace Horsecollar and Donald Duck. Now, a few years later, in 1932, Goofy came around. Goofy first debuted in 1932, May 25th, 1932, as Dippy Dog. And he would go on to appear in about 5 or 6 different cartoons known as Dippy Dog. And then he became known as Dippy the Goof for one cartoon, and then eventually just Goofy. And when he became Goofy, he started to take more of a leading role. Horace Horsecollar was falling by the wayside. Clarabelle Cow was kind of falling by the wayside. And they decided to kind of test the waters of the two of them kind of being like romantically involved. And that lasted for about one cartoon. And they said, no, it's just not going to work. But a lot of people have associated Clarabelle Cow along with Goofy. Now, Goofy eventually, back in the 1950s, became known as George Geef. True story. And Goofy's gone through more name changes than you can even count. And when he was George Geef, he was actually a married man with a son named Goofy Jr. Goofy Jr. would eventually evolve into Max. And I don't know why I just put so much emphasis on Max. Max. And when those cartoons started to kind of fall by the wayside as well, Goofy, along with his old wife, who was in a lot of those different cartoons, the old wife never really had a name. She looked just like him, and then she kind of fell by the wayside as well, and they just kind of kept the idea of Max. So Goofy and Clarabelle Cow were suggested to be romantically thing, but he never put a ring on it. He never liked it enough to put a ring on it. I just watched Three Caballeros for the first time the other night. I think The Three Caballeros is a great film. Untitled of the Century yesterday, a game show from the 80s. The question was about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they said the dwarfs didn't have names, that Walt Disney named them all. Is that true? That is 100% true. Let's put that out there. That is 100% true. So when they were creating Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they wanted to have it so the dwarfs would have personalities. And while they were creating it, they said, let's have it so each dwarf has a different personality. Some of the other ones, I got my copy from Screen Theme in the other room. Some of the other names that they had for the dwarfs were like Burpee, like literally Burpee was going to be one of them. Smelly was one. Dingus, I think, was one. There was like a lot of completely different names than what they did. But eventually they kind of went through and created the idea of the happy, grumpy, Doc, sleepy, sneezy, bashful, and dopey became the names. But yeah, Walt Disney, or the Walt Disney Company, Walt Disney along with the animators created the names of all seven dwarfs. Did you take my pal, Mickey? Because I couldn't find it earlier. You guys have a lot of questions tonight. Maybe that's why they think he's a cow, because of that relationship with Clarabelle. It could be. Yeah, but yeah, Goofy is 100% not a cow. Who's Max's mom? So if you go back to the 1950s, in the 1950s, when America was kind of coming back and returning from the war and all that other stuff, they wanted to have it so Goofy became an everyman. And that was during the Goofy cartoons where it would be like, how to drive. Hello, passengers. And they would kind of go through and they would have the different narration going through. During those times, Goofy had a wife. And like I said, eventually, George Geef, not George Goof, George Geef, Geef. So yeah, kind of go through. What's your favorite fun fact about Disney and the war effort in World War II? So when when World War II was going on, we're going to overtime tonight, but we're also trying to hit the numbers for YouTube, so I'm fine with this. So when World War II was going on, the government actually contacted Walt Disney, and they wanted to have it so there was a few different things that they did. One, they were afraid that South America was going to go join the war efforts with like the Nazis. And because of that, they wanted to have it so they had like a good relationship with South America. So that's why we got things like the Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos, was because the government of the United States sent Walt Disney down on a Goodwill Ambassador trip. And when he went down there on that Goodwill Ambassador trip, it was pretty much to smooth over anything and hopefully have it so they would join the Allies and not the Axis. In addition to that, characters that were found on planes were characters like Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy. Some of the dwarfs were found on there. The Roman gods from Fantasia, a few of them were found on the fronts of planes. It was mainly due to the fact that the different animators who worked at the studio would go off to war and they would actually paint different characters on the different things. If you ever go over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, there's like the little open market, the Sunset Ranch on your left-hand side. If you go over there inside of those different restaurants that are over there, if you look in the background, you can actually see different war effort replicas that were used on different ships and different stuff like that. So you can find things like Donald Duck on the front of a plane, like, you know, now I'm going to go kill some people. So would you ever consider The Simpsons as Disney characters, and would you welcome an eventual attraction or themed area around them? Yes, I do. Let's forget that Universal Studios has them in their parks. I personally was always a huge fan of The Simpsons growing up. Back in the 90s, I loved The Simpsons. I thought The Simpsons were hilarious. Still to this day, like I was at work the other day and I quoted The Simpsons and no one knew what I was talking about. That's where I saw the leprechaun. He told me to burn things. That's Ralph Wiggum. Good job, Ralphie. Now you know what to do. Burn the house down. Burn them all. There was someone said something about something burning the other day at work, and I started quoting The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons. I don't see The Simpsons as Disney characters. I see them like I see the Marvel characters, or like I see the Star Wars characters, where they are characters that Disney owns, but they are not specifically those types of characters. There was a Disney/Simpsons cartoon that came out on last Friday for the Disney Plus Day for the anniversary, the 2-year anniversary, and it's like Disney Plus anniversary, and it's the Simpsons and the Disney characters all going to Moe's Tavern, and it's actually pretty funny. So if you want a good laugh and see those characters together, that's what you got to check it out. Let's see here. If you could bring back something Disney discontinued, you got rid of, what would it be? Ooh. Can I bring back the original Figment? Or let's to keep it with the theme of Mickey Mouse's birthday. Is there anything Mickey Mouse that I would bring back? Oh, Toontown. I would bring back Toontown. I love Toontown. I like Storybook Circus, but I think I like Toontown better. Mickey's Toontown Fair over at Magic Kingdom. I loved that. Price of admission. That's a good one. But yeah, to keep it with the theme, I had the complete, like, this is not even like, now that I'm realizing that it's Mickey and Minnie's birthday tomorrow, it makes me realize that how crazy it is. But last night I was sitting in that chair over there editing the video for today, and I started remembering a room. Like, it was like one of those where it's like, oh, I was in this room so many times, but where was this room? And I wasn't even thinking it was like a Disney room. I was thinking it was like someplace like my grandparents' house or something like that. And I couldn't figure out where it was. It was inside of Minnie's house, Minnie's country house at Toontown. I was like, oh, that was over by her answering machine. And there's all these different things on the wall. And I've got so many pictures of it someplace. I just have to go back through and find those pictures and post them someplace, because I loved Minnie's house was just so. I liked Mickey's house, but Minnie's house blew me away. Every time I would go in there, it blew me away. There's so many things to interact with. Didn't his dad die when he was on that trip in South America? I think his dad passed away shortly after. I want to say that he got back and saw his dad before he passed away. His mom passed away shortly before that. So his mom's actually the reason why there's so many Disney characters that die in films, because Walt he felt guilty to the day he died about his mom's death, because he bought a house for his parents and it had what's the silent killer monoxide? That's not carbon monoxide, that's trees. You know what I'm talking about. Someone out there hopefully knows what I'm talking about. But the house had that, and his mom got sick and she passed away because of that. But because of that, Walt wanted to have it so he taught people more about loss and stuff, and that's why Bambi's mom died, and that's why a lot of other parents die, and why there's one parent for that. And carbon monoxide, thank you. Is carbon monoxide. But yeah, so let's do one more question, then we're gonna wrap it up here. Actually, while we do that, let's check to see how many views we have for YouTube for the day. So, complete side note, I had someone who asked me the other day about the views. They said, well, we're up 5 more subscribers. Holy cow. I've had a few people who've asked me today and yesterday about views on YouTube. They said, how are you almost there? And I keep on telling me, I don't know if we hit the goal yet, because on the data that I get, the data gives me the views. That's going through. So we've had 1,647 views in the last 48 hours, which is pretty darn good. But as you can see, come on, pick it up. All those bars on the far right-hand side are the last, the last few hours, ever since I told people, like, hey, this is what we're doing. Does that mean I can quit work? Not yet, but it means I'm a step closer to being able to quit work. So essentially, it's being monetized, permanently monetized, which is essentially, if I can keep these numbers up for, I think it's 6 months, then I don't lose. So when you watch a video and at the start there's like an ad, those ads give me money, or they're going to give me money. So depending on how many views I'm getting every day and all that other stuff, it'll bring me some money. It's not going to bring me enough to like quit my job yet, but at least it's a stepping stone. And I've been working on the stepping stone for literally 12 years. Literally 12 years. It was September of 2009 was when I first started YouTube. And when I first started doing YouTube in 2009, I didn't really think about like, oh, I'm going to make money off of YouTube. And the first 10 years, I only had like 168 subscribers. And then shortly around the time when the pandemic hit, I said, okay, I've always wanted to go through and I wanted to create more YouTube videos. I've always loved making videos. And actually, some of my videos in the past have done really well. I've got a few that are around the 100,000 view mark. And I just never had the subscribers because I wasn't really pushing for, I didn't really think about that. And then when the pandemic hit, I was like, I'm going to make a YouTube video every day. And I did make a YouTube video every day. And the numbers started rising. Then all of a sudden I had to go to work. And as soon as I got called back to work, I was working 6 days a week for literally 9 months. 9 months of 6 days a week. And for those 9 months, my numbers went like from whoa way back down. And so when that happened, and then when I started to realize that the 50th anniversary was coming up, I wanted to do something special about the 50th anniversary for Walt Disney World. And my first thought was I wanted to do a written piece, 50 days, 50 written pieces about the history of Walt Disney World over the course of 50 days. So it'd be like, 1971. This is what happened in 1971 at Disney World. 1972. This is what happened in And I was like, I like that idea, but I had done something like that for the 40th anniversary. And, oh, hey, Gary. I had done that for the 40th anniversary. So I was like, I need to do something bigger. And I hadn't done videos as often as I wanted to. I've always loved, so when I went to college, I went for a double major. I actually went for elementary education, which I got my degree in. And I also went for being a filmmaker, which I didn't continue with, but I always liked the idea of making videos. I've always enjoyed making videos and doing storytelling and whatnot. I'm just naturally always been a storyteller. And so when I was like, oh, you know what, I can do 50 videos about 50 fun facts around Walt Disney World. So 50 years, 50 days, 50 fun finds was born literally on August 11th. I came up with the idea, and to do the first day to actually have it so it will go through 50 days, it had to be out on August 13th. So I had 2 days to kind of like just start filming and make these things. And as those videos started to kind of take off and the views started to take off, I got a thing where I was actually monetized for like a month. I was like, oh, this is great. I hit it. And then all of a sudden I realized that it was not a full blown thing. It was just, we're monetizing you as like not like a thank you, but like as a test run or whatever. And then all of a sudden I quickly realized, oh, wait a minute, I'm not monetized. I was just slightly, and I told a bunch of people too. I was like, oh, I'm monetized. This is so great. And then I wasn't. And I was like, oh, this is so bad. Because I told everyone that I was monetized, or I told a lot of my close friends. And I was freaking out about it. And I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, nope, none of that happened at all. And then as the numbers started to grow, and when we got closer and closer to the 50th, I was like, oh, I'm going to be like right around like 2,500 hours. And that's not the 4,000 hours that you need to get them monetized. So I was hoping that maybe doing that whole thing and maybe would just naturally have more people start looking at some of my old videos. And for like 3 days, the videos started to go down a little bit. And I was like, oh, maybe I should start doing videos again. And I enjoy doing videos. I'm exhausted from doing videos because literally I work 40 hours a week, and then I do another probably 20 to 30 hours working on these videos, between filming, editing, uploading, all that other fun stuff. And so I'm really exhausted from doing all of it. But at the same time, when I realized that this goal that I had, that I've kind of been working towards for 12 years, is very possible, I figured I'm just going to put the gas pedal down and go full force until I hit it. And like I said, so you don't get the notifications until I think it's 7 a.m. when it rolls over saying what it is. So this morning I looked at it, and it's a rolling 4,000 hours. So for tomorrow, whatever I did last year on November 18th, that falls off at midnight, and then whatever starts at midnight, that tonight takes the place. So you have to be beating the number that you had last year plus increasing to, it's crazy. So yeah, so 61.5 hours away as of this morning. So there's a chance that tomorrow I will wake up and we'll be at 4,000. It's going to be really close. It's going to be really close. I woke up and I was like, okay, that's about 3 days worth of video, 3.5 days worth of videos. So if I ask 3.5 people to watch my videos for the next 24 hours, we'll hit it. Or if I ask 7 people to watch it for the next 12 hours, we'll hit it. Or if I ask 7 or 12 people to watch it for 7 hours, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's going to be close. I'm really hoping that we hit it. I'm really hoping we hit it. It's going to be really close. But I won't know until the morning. So we'll see what happens. But tonight, if you guys have the time, do you have the time to watch my videos? I would greatly appreciate it if tonight you went through and watched videos for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, if you have the time. And if you don't, well, watch them. No, but please watch them. Because we got 14 people on right now. That'd be 28 hours worth of videos. So that's not bad at all. Okay, so we are going to wrap this up right here. As always, tonight's show is sponsored by It's All About the Miles Travel. Make sure you stop by it'sallaboutthemilstravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely, positively, 100%ly free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and From Screen to Theme, and invite anyone and everyone to join the group right here on Facebook. And if you have not subscribed, make sure you go subscribe as well. If you have not ordered a copy of A Closer Look Yet, or guess what, A Closer Look Yet, make sure you go pick up your books by visiting the Shop Now button someplace at the top if you're on Facebook, or by visiting my link over on YouTube and order your books. I will ship them out tomorrow if you buy them tonight. Sprint that guarantee. And until tomorrow, we will see you guys. Well, not until tomorrow. Until next week, we'll see you guys all a little later. Bye-bye. Oh, and remember, anything can happen if you let it. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, they're probably going to watch my videos. That's right. Oh, my cheeks are killing me.